on the movie selection that I supposed to pick the movie this week for us to watch. But Damo ended up picking the movie because I was a little busy this week, right? So you took on the movie, and the movie is Cherry. And I remember on our last episode we kind of talked about movies that's like over 2 hours and things like that.
Over 2.5 hours. Over 2.5 hours.
You want to point that out?
2.5. Cherry, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
So I popped in on Cherry. Cherry was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yo, you gotta watch some of the stuff you be saying, man. Like you gotta
Cherry
be careful with the way you
2 hours and 20 minutes, man. I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, didn't we just talk about these 2 hour movies, man? But Cherry was 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I watched Cherry. And some of the time when I was watching Cherry started watching me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me, I was off and on. You know what I mean? When it comes to like nodding out, watching it, nodding out, watching it. So with that being said, I'm gonna get you. I mean, you can get started on the movie selection and who was in it, because it was to me starting off just a quick general like real quick, man. It's one of those movies that in the beginning I just didn't know where it was going. Right in the beginning, then I started because I knew, because you look in the reviews and things like that, it tells you what the movie's about, right? It tells you the movie's about PSD and all stuff like this. But you really, if you didn't know that about, if say you didn't look at the review of the movie and you probably watched the first 20-30 minutes of the movie, you wouldn't even think it was about PTSD at all. But other than that, man, like I said, I'm gonna let you go first, man. You go to Pink so you can talk about it a little bit.
Okay. So I do, if you listening to us right now, right, and you thinking like, man, like it's so much other stuff that happens, so much other stuff that's going on. We got like, man, we probably got like 20 more things that like in the tuck. So we might, I don't know, man, you might get an extra episode or something. I don't know. But we still got like a whole lot of stuff we did not talk about. I do want to say that. But to get into this movie, Cherry, right? It's directed by the Russo brothers. If you're not familiar with the Russo brothers, they directed Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And Infinity War. They did Infinity War Endgame. I think they did the other Captain America too, the Civil War one, I want to say. But it's directed by the Russo brothers, and it's starring Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I don't want to fake and do research. I'll do it right now, actually. But it's directed by the Russo brothers. It's starring Tom Holland, and then the woman lead, her name is Ciara Bravo, and she looked like 8 years old in the face.
Yeah,
man.
She did look young, man.
You know what I'm saying? And like some of that was kind of like, for the subject matter of the movie, some of that was kind of weird to me because she looked super young, man.
Yeah, she did look young, man.
But I had a different experience with the movie. I look at reviews for a bunch of movies and stuff like that. This movie wasn't reviewed well, but it looked like users liked it more than, I guess, the critics. Sometime I'm in line with the critics. For this one, I might be in line with like users. I actually like this movie. And like talking to Damon, it's kind of cool because he's giving me the perspective that I'm seeing like a lot of the critics actually had about it being kind of like clunky. Yeah. Like, yo, what is this? This is weird. This kind of seemed like, but it's about like, it's actually about like a real person. It's based off a real story. The movie is called, the story is called Cherry. And it's written by like he was in the military, right? I'm trying to get his name. That's why I'm like kind of stuttering a little bit. But it's written by Nico Walker is his name, right? So Nico Walker is the name of the real person that wrote Cherry. Yeah. So Tom Holland, who I really like as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, actually. To all the kind of Marvel fans out there, I like him as both Spider-Man and Peter Parker. But it was about we could get into a little bit of spoilers on here, right? He was a drug addict, right? I would say the movie was primarily about his drug addiction. It was secondarily about his love story with her, and the third part of this movie was about the fact that he robbed banks.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in his life, he went to the military for a while. He went to the army, and he got PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the movie's about the PTSD part. What I will say about this movie is I normally like dark themed movies and like realistic kind of gritty movies. Um, I didn't know how hard it could be for me to watch a movie about drugs and being addicted to opium and opioids and heroin. Heroin. It was a lot of uncomfortable scenes. I don't know how much of this movie you saw because you said you was kind of in and out of sleep,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like constantly poking needles in your leg, and it was hard, man. I
yeah,
had a harder time watching this than like Squid Game. Like this was to me more graphic than Squid Game because there's really people like
yeah,
living a life like this. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the drug bruises and the dude like
yeah,
13 holes in his arms, like pooping on yourself, and like it was crazy. It's like so much stuff, man. Real, if you want to watch something that's like really really gritty, watch it. Tom Holland did incredible to me as
yeah,
a like seeing
yeah,
him from like Spider-Man.
yeah,
Tom Holland did great. The woman who led the movie did great. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. To
yeah,
be honest, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's, to me, it was a pretty decent movie. I like weirdly kind of put together movies and stuff like that. So it was, to me, it was pretty decent. The acting was on point to me. A lot of the story, the way it looked was on point. And that's, I mean, if you get good acting and it looks good and it's a decent story, you pretty much got me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it was decent. There's ways that it, of course, it could have been better, but it's dark. You know, if you want to watch something that's kind of like cool and dark, check out Cherry, man. 3.5 out of 5.
yeah, man. So for the the female in the movie, I know we talked about it. I guess her name was Ciara Bravo. That's who Emily was
Yeah,
in
Ciara
this
Bravo.
in the movie. So, and again, yes, she did look young. Now, Tom Holland, hey, he did a good job in the movie from an actor standpoint. Even she did too for an actress too. But my takeaway from this movie was what I know about Tom Holland, the movies
Uh huh.
I have seen him play before and things like that, to this movie. So kind of around
Yeah.
your thoughts too, from him going from those type of movies to this movie was a big deal, man. Because it is a dark movie. But I think he did a hell of a job in the movie, in playing the part. And it was a graphic. I'm telling you, man, like if you've been around, if you was that person that been around drugs and been around things like that in your life, you kind of like relate to that shit. Like, man, that stuff happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That stuff that's happening in this movie right now happens in real life when it comes to that stuff. So um he went for into the military, but in the beginning, you know, if and going into the military was a decision he made because he broke up with Emily. Like Emily was breaking up with him or whatever, so he made a decision. And you know what, I got to do something with my life. So he went ahead and signed up for the military. Then she ended up not leaving, and he still had to
Yeah.
do his 2 years in the military or whatever. But um, it was a hard movie to watch because you know his friends and stuff, you know, and him himself and all those, it was on those drugs. And it really really was a hard movie to watch also. And but if I was giving it a judge, I'm giving it off the act. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 though, but I'm giving
Okay.
it a 3.5 mostly because of the act of Tom Holland.
Yeah.
um I feel like he did a good job. So but I can see where um the critics really like may have not, you know, liked this movie as well as we might have liked it because of I think it's had jumped from like, I'm talking about, it jumped from in the beginning of being like little minor, little small time drug deals and doing little drugs here, like, you know, ecstasy and things like that, popping some pills here and there, to some real serious stuff like PTSD, then jump to some real
Yeah.
heavy drugs when they got, you know, got a little bit older. So and then robbing the bank. So you had like, to me, if I was a movie critic, I'm thinking about it, man, it's like 3 or 4 movies in one.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the dude's life, really.
Yeah, but
Like for real.
it was and it happens. That's why I think I related to it more, because this is what happens though. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? This could be your life. And how many people that I know shit, like for real, like have came home from the army. I'm not even talking about the Navy coming in the Navy. I'm talking about the army.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day when I was growing up, came from the army and then came back and got on drugs. You know,
Yeah.
back in the 80s, man, and in the beginning of the 90s that lived a life like this.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, yeah, man, shit like that does happen. So yeah, man.
I do want to say his girl was a ride or die, man. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah,
was the
yeah,
definition of ride or die. Like she was
yeah. Yeah,
winning.
man.
She
Ciara
was
Bravo,
winning
man.
from the
Yeah, man.
beginning
The
to
beginning.
the bloody end. Like she was winning the whole time, man.
Yeah, man.
I think the scene that I know we pretty much wrapping up. I think the scene that hit me the most was when when she almost died. Like she had OD. If you, it's spoilers, so you should watch the movie still. But she
Yeah.
OD. She almost died. He in the hospital. Her mom like, yo, leave. If you love her, leave. Right. So he leaves. She goes away to the rehab. Right.
Mm-hmm.
He somehow I guess she comes home to visit. I don't know if you were asleep on this part, but she come home to visit. She get off the bus and he like, yo, he take her to another bus. Like she's like, where are we going? He take her to another bus. Like go back to rehab. She like, no. She like, I'm gonna do drugs with or without you. I'm gonna be
Oh,
doing drugs with or without you. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, man, like, and I don't want to give all that scene away, but that was a good scene. It was well
yeah.
acted. Like everything was great. The tone was good. Everything was good.